If you're in a situation where you can't stop playing the details of a relationship over and over in your head, wondering what went wrong, what you missed, or why things turned out the way they did, you're in good company. I'm going to share today how to stop that spinning and how to stop those mental gymnastics so you can start to build peace in your life. This is something that I don't think is being talked about nearly enough, and it leaves far too many women holding the bag, not knowing what to do with it, not knowing what to do with all of this stuff, and ending up accepting all the blame and the shame that comes with that. And I'm not okay with that. If you've been stuck in those kind of mental spirals, obsessing over what happens, I promise you're not alone. I have absolutely been there, and so have many, many women that I know and that I've worked with. But staying stuck in those kind of places only deepens the pain. It doesn't bring healing. It doesn't sort anything out. And you probably already know by now, it doesn't work. So today I'm talking about what's behind those intrusive thoughts, how to break that cycle, and how to start letting go, not just with your head, but really also with your heart as well. Here's the deal. The human brain is wired to seek resolution. When relationships go south, especially if whatever happened wasn't fair, it didn't make sense, or you aren't clear on exactly what happened, it leaves a whole bunch of questions. Some of them might be spoken, many of them are unspoken, but they're all unanswered, and that creates open loops. Our brains don't like open loops. They don't like ambiguity. As such, we will replay those stories over and over and over again until we find a satisfactory answer to them. I've been stuck in a situation like this myself, not just for a little time, but actually for years. In my case, the narrative about the situation just did not match what was actually happening. And so none of it made sense. It didn't make sense emotionally. It didn't make sense logically. It didn't match what was being said or what the other people professed to believe. And it didn't even match who they presented themselves to others to be. I was being told that I was loved and cherished and mattered, but their actions didn't match that, especially when I didn't comply with their demands to do things that went against everything that I stand for and everything I believe and everything that I know to be true. That left me with a lot of confusion and a lot of trying to figure things out that really just made no sense. Being removed from that situation now, I can see that I was trying to write a different ending to it. I wanted what they said to be true. I wanted and I needed to matter. I wanted, especially for the needs of my family to matter, for safety to matter. I genuinely needed what they were throwing at another person and accusing me of disrupting, but those things were not available to me. And oddly enough, ended up cutting off the other person at the knees. It was just so twisted. And then one day I woke up. I finally realized what had so spitefully been told to me most of my life, that actions speak louder than words, was actually true, and it applied to them as much as it applied to me. And what they were doing mattered more than what was being said. And I finally realized that nothing about this situation was ever going to change, and the only way that I could ever stay in it was to sell my soul and to completely abandon myself, my beliefs, and every one of my values. And that was not going to be an option. Now that I'm quite a ways on the other side of that situation, this is something that I know for sure. Those loops that keep you spinning and the obsessions over what went wrong only keep you emotionally tethered and tied to a story that may never change. It will, however, drain your energy, cloud your judgment, and prevent you from seeing and also accepting the truth of the situation. And that kind of realization is like having the blinders just removed from your life. In my situation, the real truth was I had been gaslighted for many years over a situation that other people didn't want to deal with. I'll give you a little hint. It involved a sex offender. And their belief was that if they could get me to comply with their demands, with their story, with their narrative, and with what they wanted to be true, then everything would be fine and the problem would just go away. But when I didn't, and I put in some hard stops, I became the bad guy. I was the one causing the problems. I was the one who destroyed the family. And rather than accepting and enforcing appropriate boundaries with that other person that would have created safety for everyone, I'll be honest, including him, they ripped me to shreds, they villainized me, and they tried to turn my own kids against me. And in the end, they ended running me right out the door and created an estrangement situation that they now blame me for. I want to share 5 practical ways that you can close those mind loops and start to gain some of that emotional freedom in your own life. Number 5 is the most powerful, but I will tell you it won't work unless you've been through the other 4 things. So let's get into it. Number 1 is that we need to acknowledge the grief. Even if no one died, there is still a major loss there. So what I want you to do, if you're stuck in these kind of loops, I want you to start by saying out loud, this relationship mattered to me. These people mattered to me. I'm grieving not just for the person, but I'm grieving for the future I thought we would have, for all that we were, for all that I thought we were. I'm grieving over the realization that they mattered much more to me than I mattered to them. Whatever is there, whatever comes up, name it, call it what it is, and give it a voice. Number 2 is stop trying to make any of this make sense. It's not going to, at least within the context of the story that you're stuck in. But it doesn't have to make sense in order for you to move forward. It isn't the details of the story that need to make sense. It's actually our belief about what that story means to us and what we tell ourselves about it. People pull away for all kinds of reasons. Relationships fail for all kinds of reasons. And some of them honestly have nothing to do about you. If someone wasn't willing or able to stay, it doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean you caused all of the problems. It might just simply mean that the relationship couldn't handle the weight of growth, of pain, or of differences in this season of life. The third thing we can do is to ask better questions. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. But when you ask the wrong question, you get the wrong answer. If you want a different answer, you have to ask different questions. Instead of asking, what happened? Why did they leave? Where did this go wrong? Try switching those questions to something like, what can I learn from this? What parts of me still need healing? And how can I honor myself now in spite of how things happened? These are the kind of questions that will shift your pain to power. The 4th thing you can do is to rebuild your inner safety. When those close connections break, it can feel like everything is upended. And it often feels like our safety and our security went right with the relationship. One of the best things you can do is to take time to reconnect with yourself, to reconnect with your body. Get outside. Give yourself permission to feel whatever it is you need to feel. Do some grounding, journaling, breath work, yoga, whatever it is you need to do to come back into center and to feel like you're a little bit more whole again. And number 5 is the really big one. I want you to write a goodbye letter to whoever it was, but don't send it. I did this, except before I knew what was up and what the ramifications would be, I did actually send it. Truly, don't send it, no matter how much you want to, until you are absolutely 100% sure it's the right time, it's the right reasons, and that it won't be used against you, because I promise you, probably in this time, it probably will be. However, do write it. Say all the things that you have ever wanted to say. Be as sweet, as nice, as salty, as colorful, and as sassy as you need to be. It's a great opportunity to start using your voice in a way that allows you to let those things that are on the inside come out without causing major destruction. Tell them what you loved. Tell them what hurt. Tell it why it hurt. Tell them what confused you. Tell them what didn't make sense. And also tell them what you're letting go of. And when you're finished, I want you to take that letter and read it out loud. And then let it go. That's the kind of closure that you create. It's the apology you'll never get. It's the one that you might want to give that will never be heard. And it's the thing that starts to close those open loops so that the story can suddenly make sense and your mind can start to settle. This journey of healing from things in life that hurt us is tough. But staying in the what ifs, the what could have been, the what happened is never going to get you to peace. You are allowed to grieve. You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be hurt. And you're allowed to feel the sting of disappointment. And you're also allowed to move forward. And when you're ready, you're allowed to take back your power, to rebuild your sense of self, and to write a new story for yourself. If you want to know more about that, watch that video. If any of this resonated with you, I'd love to chat. There is a link down below in the description where you can book a free 15-minute call with me where you set the agenda and we can talk about whatever's on your mind, including how to make this work if you want. I promise you're not alone. You're not broken. You're not crazy. You're not weird. You're healing. And there is more to life and to love waiting for you out there. That's all for now. I'll see you next time. Bye.